So as you guys know, Gut Check, Mind Check is all about helping you optimize your mental wellness via the gut-brain axis. When you optimize the gut-brain axis, you improve things like your energy levels, your sleep, your digestion, your mood, even your stress resilience gets better. So, if you're looking for more or less stress, that's one way of doing it. So thanks for joining us today. I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest today, Colleen Sullivan.
Hey, hello. Hey, everyone. So happy to be here with you. Thanks, Krista, for having me on your show.
Yeah, we're really excited that you're here. A little bit about Colleen. She is a mom of two young adults, her daughter and her son, 23 and 21. She is a yoga instructor, a wellness advocate, and she specifically recognizes through her own experience the impact that stress has on our mental and physical health. And she's a self-taught health nut and gut-brain connection expert. So we're really excited to have her today. Her specialty is actually helping families find safer solutions to ADHD, anxiety, and stress. So this is what she does. It's part of her purpose, her passion. So I can't wait to, share with you Colleen and her story. So without further ado, let's jump right in. And Colleen, let us know, how did you become an expert in this field, helping families find safer solutions? Please, we want to know your story.
All right. Well, thanks, Krista, for that introduction. My story kind of goes back to my oldest, who's 23 now. He was diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 6. And, getting that diagnosis as a parent, he was my first child as well, is daunting. It's like, what is ADHD? So I started immediately putting, my kind of research hat on and started diving into how I can help him. And, this started in grade school where the teachers were kind of pressing me, you have to do something, you have to do something. And I was like, well, do what? He's a happy kid. He was happy. He was, he had the inattentive type ADHD. So he wasn't a behavioral issue child. And I didn't want to, stifle his, being a kid, right? We still want our kids to be happy, be kids. So we started down the road of going to experts, starting with our pediatrician and then psychologists and psychiatrists and experts in the field. And they were pointing me in one direction. So after a period of time, I started thinking, well, I guess this is my only solution. I say solution. So we started going down the pharmaceutical route of trying out these, pharmaceutical meds. That's all I knew. I was still researching because I was kind of a health nut back then as well, always eating healthy, wanting to know what I was putting in my body. And so I was still researching that end, and always kind of in the back of my mind knew there was a connection between the gut and the brain, but there were no solutions around it. So every time we would go into a new doctor, my question, and this sounds silly to me now that I know what I know, my question was always, what can you give me? What can you provide for my son that has the least amount of side effects? That was my question. And it wasn't like, let's get to the root cause, what's causing this, because they just, were throwing on the Band-Aids. And I was in search of a Band-Aid that had the least amount of side effects. So my poor guy was, struggling, as we started experimenting with these pharmaceutical meds, from loss of appetite, sleeplessness. At one point, we were giving him something to focus so he can do well in school. We all want our kids to do well. And then we were giving him some other med to shut his brain down at night so he can go to sleep. And this breaks my heart talking about it to this day. We were
Is this
treating,
at 6 years old?
this was, 6, 7, 8, we
Okay.
experimented all the way up until college. We were trying still to find something where he didn't lose his appetite, where it didn't stifle his personality. At times he said, "Mom, I can't make friends because I feel like I have no personality. I feel like I'm not myself." And that, when I heard that, I was just like, okay, this is just not a solution. So, getting a kid with ADHD through grade school, middle school, high school is no easy feat, right? So as a parent, my heart goes out to other parents who are going through this, because it's not
Sure.
an easy road. It's not an easy journey, right? The homework, the not being able to complete homework. Like, he would sit at the dining room table for 6 hours. And I would come home from a stressful job because I was a single parent. So I was working 9 to 5 job, coming home, having to do dinner, taking care of another child as well. And the homework hour, daunting, just
Yes.
right. And I hear this from a lot of families is, his homework should take 30 minutes and it's taking hours, right? We didn't have the right tools. We did not have the right tools.
Absolutely. Now, and that, I mean, and then to be a single parent, to carry that load, you're trying to advocate for your son. And there sounds like there was very little resources at the time. Colleen, can you speak a little bit to like what you're feeling as a mom and as a caregiver and that experience?
Absolutely. As a parent, I mentioned I wear multiple hats. Like, I'm, corporate 9 to 5. I teach yoga. The yoga didn't enter until I started feeling, the stress kind of pile up. So I hopped myself onto a yoga mat, and I felt like I needed to stay there 24/7, right? And we can't be on our yoga mat 24/7. And I felt the effects of stress, definitely. I was eating healthy, I was exercising, I was practicing yoga, and I still felt the effects of stress. And I'm sure everyone feels that, because we all have stress in our lives. It's always going to be present. But it's how we can take care of ourselves in a way where we can kind of start reducing those effects of stress. And that's a term that I now know: stress resilience. I did not have any while I was advocating for my son. So you can imagine the little things: homework not being completed, messy room, you tell him to kind of go up and get ready, we're leaving in 10 minutes, and it doesn't happen. So all those little things would add up, where mom would just explode, right? Mom would be triggered by him not, bringing shoes downstairs. And that's, you think about, like, well, why does that make you so upset? It's the stress resilience. When you don't have it, you're going to react instead of respond. So I think back on those moments, Krista, and it kind of breaks my heart again, because I didn't have the right tools to manage the stress. There's a thing, stress resilience is that stress response. And when it's this short, when your fuse is this short, of course you're going to trigger and kind of, lose it. So definitely my word to moms and parents out there is to also take care of yourself. Get the right tools that is going to manage that stress response. And we'll talk about those tools in a little bit. I don't want to jump ahead. So you can respond to what life is throwing at you. And when you are advocating for a child with a special need, ADHD, anxiety, autism, any of those, you need to have that stress resilience so you can be your best self. We as moms need to show up as our best selves to help our families, to take care of the house, to take care of things, right?
Sure.
Take care of others. Put that oxygen mask on first.
Absolutely.
Not selfish, right?
And it probably goes for dads too. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
it's anyone taking care of a child, a young adult, anything. There's all that caregiver stress. Hey,
Yes.
before we hop into specifically about the solutions that you found, let's say hello. There's lots of people on
Absolutely.
LinkedIn and Facebook. And so we'll say hello. Jemima, thanks so much tuning in from
Oh,
Atlanta.
that's where I'm from, Jamina. I know
You're in Atlanta?
we might have to connect.
And Mindy is on. Hi, Mindy. Katie J is here. Yes, band-aids are not the way to treat the root cause of problems.
Absolutely. That's my biggest message out there now is that, all along I knew I was just using a Band-Aid and it was not the right solution.
Mm-hmm. And Jemima agrees on that one. Yes. So, Colleen, fill us in a little bit on what you found for your son, but also what you found for almost your whole family in terms of mental wellness and stress, resilience, and for your son's ADHD.
Absolutely. So he was going into his senior year in college when I was introduced to this whole gut brain axis. I picked up the book by Dr. Emran Mayer called The Mind Gut Connection. It was like my Bible. I started reading that and I was like, this is it. And was also introduced to the mental wellness company that pretty much formulated these amazing solutions around this science. And I could get my hands and my head around science, right? And we quickly just jumped in. My son was kind of used to me throwing things at him because if you remember what I said, I was still researching. I was still trying to find something that could replace the meds that we were using because they were not a solution for him. Horrendous side effects. So I knew there was a connection between the gut and the mind. And when I learned about these solutions, I was all in. I'm like, this could be the missing link for me as a stressed out, overwhelmed parent, and for him for his ADHD. So he went on the protocol, gut brain access protocol. I went on it within a month. I'll just speak to myself first. I felt the weight lift off my shoulders. I felt my brain just kind of clear. Like there is, we often use the term mom brain. It's not normal, guys. It's not normal. I couldn't think clearly. And I was a yoga instructor. So remember, I was in a studio teaching mindfulness. And, not that I was a fraud because I was a very good yoga instructor, kind of pat myself on the back. But one day a student came up to me, and not to get too sidetracked, a student came up to me. My daughter was standing right next to me. She often took my classes. My son takes classes. So this is a whole holistic way of approaching this. But a student approached me and asked me, "Are you always this zen, Colleen?" And she asked me in that tone. And my daughter and I looked at each other, and I wasn't always that zen. Off my mat, out of the studio, I was kind of, a hot mess. So I quickly, after being on these solutions for a month, just felt the weight of the world just lift. And that's the stress resilience building. And if we can build that stress resilience and handle things being thrown at us with a pause and a breath, we can say that to ourselves, but it's one thing saying it and one thing doing it. I just felt the space, right? The space just to be who I really wanted to be as a mom, first and foremost. And then for my son, he was in his, like I said, senior year, college, full course load because he had studied abroad the prior year. So it wasn't just kind of skating through his senior year. He had a lot of courses to complete. First semester, his GPA popped up, all A's and B's. And he was just like, wow, this is what it's like to be in school and experience success without a struggle. Second semester hit, still a full course load, and his capstone, which is like a final senior project. And the pandemic hit. He was, learning online. And for a kid with ADHD, learning online is no joke, right? And not that he leaned on his IEP that much, but it was still, he had to be like 100% present. So once again, A's and B's, highest GPA. He's like, Mom, I think this something is, working here. And I didn't mention going into his senior year when we started the protocol, he had mentioned to his doctor, now that he's kind of an adult going on his own, he said, don't write me the script for my ADHD meds. I am using this new protocol and it seems like it is working. So we have not looked back one day. We are on this path of, him thriving, him feeling, more positivity. During his senior year, or all during college, he also held a part-time job at a restaurant. And normally he said, Mom, I usually get yelled at 10 times, like, Eamon, you need to do this, you need to do that. And his coworkers and his managers noticed more positive, more on top of things, more, and that's what was kind of missing prior to this. So all the pieces just started falling together for me, for him. And I'll mention my daughter as well, who also went off to college recently. She's kind of my high achiever, straight A's. And she works hard for it. But she didn't realize she had an underlying anxiety condition that was brought on by stressful moments. So if you think about it, studying for an exam, finishing a project, any kind of school-related stress and kind of social situations, she felt a huge difference because I thought, we're going on these products, you're going off to school, you need, I worried kind of about her nutrition. And guys, this is nutrition for our bodies and our brains, right? These solutions. So even if your child does not have an underlying anxiety or an underlying issue or diagnosis, these solutions are a gift that we can give our children to be more resilient, to handle stress in social situations, academic situations. If they're in sports, it just, brings them into the game 100%. And wouldn't we want to equip them with the tools they need so they can be successful and they don't have to feel all the stress that goes along with that sometimes?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, if there's a holistic option available, like why not try that first? And if it doesn't work, then go to pharmaceuticals. But when you have something that is root cause, it's actually treating the root cause. It's not just treating a symptom. So Colleen, real briefly, can you just talk about what it is your son takes? Like, is it easy to take? What does he do? Just a little brief synopsis.
Absolutely. And before I go on to that, Krista, I just wanted to mention one other thing with my daughter, because I know this is an issue for some families. She was kind of my picky eater. You would think it would be the other way around because sometimes kids with ADHD, she was kind of my picky eater and some kind of leaned on not so healthy. So I worried about her going off to college and they're like, oh, what is she going to be eating? Okay. So going on this protocol, the gut brain axis, it changes your cravings. Okay. Your gut starts craving good things. And by gosh, did it not do that for her. She came home and I'm like, who are you?
Nice.
Broccoli, eating salads. Her repertoire of foods just expanded and pretty much all healthy things. So win for mom, win for her, win for all of us, my son, especially. But what it is, And what I love about this is that it's a simple solution. It's based on science, but it's not complex. It's addressing imbalances in your gut microbiome. I didn't even know what that word was before 2 years ago. Addressing imbalances, giving your gut the bacteria it needs to produce all those feel-good neurotransmitters. So all those brain chemicals to make you more focused, to make you more engaged, to make you feel less stressed, the GABA, the serotonin to lift your mood. My son, his positivity just shot through the roof. And because his confidence level increased, but also that serotonin and that dopamine, the motivation, focus, all those feel-good neurotransmitters are now signaling your brain, because we clean up the noise. The access is that two-way highway communication. And it's simple, easy to take solution. So our kids line is a powder for the gut brain access. You mix it in, you can put it in a water bottle, mix it in. We like our energy drink because that also has some focus and mental clarity components to it. And the vitamin for the kids is chewable. My kids kind of take the adult version now because they're 21 and 23, but they both started on the kids line because it was just easy.
Mm-hmm.
The adult line is just as easy. The access and the brain is separate capsules. So if you have kind of like a teen approaching a young adulthood, they can probably start on either one of the protocols.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you would like some more information specifically for kids or for young adults or for yourself in terms of optimizing your gut brain access, it doesn't require a diagnosis to optimize your gut brain access. You can drop us a comment or, send us a direct message, no problem. Do you have any last minute things to say before we wrap up, Colleen, to our viewers in terms of any last minute tips if they have ADHD in the family or anything like that?
Yeah, one other, along with the gut brain access, both my kids do the kids mood or the adult mood. They kind of intermix both. The adult mood more for like the anxiety and stress, the kids mood more for stress resilience and focus. So what I love about the kids mood is that it's all natural ingredients. These are spices and ingredients that are used in other countries as first line therapies. So first line therapies like, replacing Prozac for depression or anxiety or Ritalin for focus. And the key ingredient is that saffron extract. Clinically tested ingredients, guys. So this is not, it's not rocket science. It's based on science, but it's so, I don't know, it's so easy to equip our kids with these tools and just kind of see them, thrive and flourish and, be themselves. That's, be themselves and just kind of know the feeling of what it means to, to have that stress resilience. And
absolutely,
our kids are stressed, they're all stressed. They're all feeling it. And these tools are for us and for our kids.
Absolutely. Well, we had to wrap up, Colleen. I really appreciate you coming on to Gut Check Mind Check. You gave us some really valuable information on how we can take better care of our family with safer solutions for ADHD, anxiety, and for stress. If you have any questions for Colleen, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Oh, absolutely. Find me on Instagram, Colleen Sullivan Wellness, Facebook, Colleen Sullivan. I also have a private group just for families as well. But please reach out. I'd love to connect and answer any questions.
Thank you so much, you guys.